Hey guys, I'm Devani.
I'm Victor.
This is the engineer's perspective. Today it's just going to be a little intro on how we kind of got into the music industry and, the different hats that we wear, working with different artists and stuff. But yeah,
This is the
Vic,
first episode, man.
first episode, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
I know.
But
Start somewhere.
yeah, for sure.
Oh.
How did you kind of get into this, engineering, just music industry in general?
Man, the music industry or just like music?
Well, music, I think we were both in like marching band and stuff in high school. So I think we had that
background.
background in music. I don't know for you, but I grew up with music. I think my parents put us in like piano lessons and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, similarly.
Okay.
I mean, I grew up playing drums and was got involved in the school band programs, music programs and stuff like that. And then slowly kind of found my way to recording. I was recording some stuff in high school. I would record I would record a drum line, stuff like that.
So what was your rig in high school?
Man, shit. So it's funny because I had an AV teacher.
Okay.
That he's the one that let me kind of just, everybody would be doing video stuff and he was like, he saw me fucking around with GarageBand and shit. And he was like, just do that. And I was like, all right, cool.
Interesting, yeah.
And he would just let me record people in the class and just kind of make little beats here and there and just kind of really get my feet wet with it. He's definitely like the dude who kind of put me on to the recording side of things. And he would talk to me about hey, this does that and this, I mean, I'm in high school. I don't know.
You don't even know that this is the industry of
exactly. So it was at the time too, I mean, it wasn't like we were crazy deep into iPhones where you could use GarageBand on iPhone. Maybe, yeah.
Right.
I didn't even have a fucking iPhone. I didn't even have
I don't think
stuff.
iPhone was even like...
Yeah, then I had Android at the time.
Yeah.
I had a little slide phone and shit, Cricket, and
I remember that.
Yeah, so I had that, and then so he would just let me use computers on an AV class, and would really just kind of we were recording on the little headsets that they give you, and I would just plug that into GarageBand and just make it work. And it was cool, man, because that kind of really pioneered a lot of it. I remember having the first bounce and just listening to it and be like, damn, this is cool. I'm able to automate stuff and move shit. I didn't know what automation was, but just volume shit.
Right.
And then I had another really big support system with my band teacher. He was huge. He played a huge impact in my life and just guided me a lot. And he always pushed me to do music. And he saw something in me that at the time I knew I had music in me, but I had done it for so long. I just wanted to step out of it. But he always pushed it, and he let me record a lot of his band.
Oh, nice.
And it was like a brass band and everything. And so that was pretty cool. So that was kind of my first thing getting into music engineering was recording brass bands, horns and drums and all this stuff, So it's that's kind of where my that's where I started. But the first rig was, man, I didn't even have a rig. This homie named Joseph, bro, he had this Focusrite Sapphire that he bought because he wanted to record himself playing drums at the house.
Oh, okay.
Because drum covers were big on YouTube.
Yeah. Still, I mean, I think.
I'm not sure what the hell it is.
Days,
but they were popping back then. It's people were just doing drum covers and stuff. So he bought a whole rig. He bought Audio Technicas and everything, and he let me use his interface for my first session with them. And it was a Sapphire 56. He had 8 channel inputs and everything. I was like, oh, this is fucking sick, whatever. And I got that, and I would use that to record. I had 57s, I had 609s, I had the 609s, 604s, the Tom clip-on mics, the Sennheiser ones.
Yeah. And
then, dude, and by that time, I had a couple small condensers, Audio Technica, stuff like that. That, at the time, it sounded good. It worked, and that's what I had. And then I just slowly started buying stuff, I got a Focusrite Claret.
Okay.
And then that was my main rig for a while. And then I just got some outboard preamps, had an SSL Alpha channel.
Was that one of your first pre's that you bought? You remember?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, the first pre was a ISA the 4-channel
the
ISA.
Focusrite, yeah.
The 4-channel ISA
Oh, okay, the 4
with the
channel,
VUs. That one's
It has
that was
like the shelving EQ on it too, right?
I don't remember, man. I honestly don't
Wasn't
remember.
it like a 2U a 2U?
Yeah, it was 4 channels and 2 U's. I don't know.
The ISA 428 or something?
Yeah. That one,
Yeah,
but like
right?
with the VUs, the old school one.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember if those had the 2 shelf.
Yeah, I don't
Well.
remember either, man. And I used it for a little bit, and I sold it. I mean,
Yeah.
I liked it, and I still do. Honestly, I kind of wish I still had those pre's, but like, I've learned to appreciate them over time,
Right,
you know.
right.
But like at the time, I just didn't know, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I want
right.
this to sell. I want these and all this stuff."
Yeah.
You know? And I mean, I still do, but like, it's the different flavors. You learn to appreciate them. But then, we just I kind of just started, just kept recording, kept practicing stuff like that, and then just kind of just started recording bands and recording people around town. I did a lot of mobile sessions. That's how I really started out.
Okay.
And then eventually got an internship here at Orb. And I got tired of just doing the home studio thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to be in real studios. I want to be doing this for real and all this stuff. And I just didn't want to keep doing home studio sessions. So
I kind of wanted to level up.
yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm recording bands. I'm recording horns. I'm recording this. Like, I just want to do more. I want to learn different aspects of it and kind of just be in the studio and everything.
Yeah.
And I got an internship here at Orb, and shortly after ended up managing the studio, and then did that for a couple years, and then went freelance, and then just kind of did my own thing freelance, and got along the lines. I was able to meet amazing people, cool clients, and now I'm here, just have the residency.
It, right?
Trying to fucking do it, still, and it's like it's just a grind that never stops.
Yeah.
Like
sure.
like
I mean, you gotta love this to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, this, like it's just different. It's a different level of commitment that you have to take for this if you want to be like, if you want to have some sort of success.
Right. Yeah, you got to keep going.
Yeah, man.
Because it's tough, man.
Yeah. When you get comfortable, it's bad. You stop leveling up. You stop growing. You stop getting, the call.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you have to continue learning new shit. You have to continue working on new projects, and
that's really important. Like the keeping up on new techniques, stuff like that. And I know we have lots of conversations on, what our mixer's doing today.
Exactly.
Like even our reference tracks over the years, right? Like there's certain tracks I'll pull up in a new studio just to kind of be like, get a sense of like where the low end, where everything's at in that room, right? I think that changes throughout the years.
Yeah, man.
Mixes that I like usually tend to be my reference, depending on the genre. But I find myself, changing, and it's a good thing. Because if I was using the same reference track 10 years ago,
it's not the same, man. Like the industry changes so fast nowadays, and that's something that I've learned. It's just that like things just always changing, man.
Yeah.
And when you think you've learned enough, somebody else does something that you were like, yo, that's not correct. But then you hear it and you're like, but it works.
Yeah.
And then you're like, damn, that's actually pretty dope.
Yeah.
Like it takes a different level of like understanding what people are doing. Like sometimes somebody that doesn't know what they're doing will do something really cool that you would have never done because you're like, that's not how you're supposed to use it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you're like, oh, but now that I know that, I can add that to my arsenal.
100%. Well, you find that out, right? The more you're in this space, at least I learned that was you learn your fundamentals. And then you learn, okay, actually the magic is when you break the fundamentals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right?
It's
if
art,
you're
man.
always worried about like, I need the cleanest signal into Pro Tools, it sounds too clean.
Yeah, it sounds too, it's like, man, and like some people like pushing the preamp, some people like doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Man. And you get a different artistic choice. It inspires a different kind of playing. Like when a guitarist hears themselves compressed and they hear themselves actually sustaining a note, it makes them play way different than like having to like wiggle the guitar to get the sustain of the note.
Yeah, that's true.
Like all those little things that subconsciously happen, I don't think people really realize how much the sound is really impacting how they're playing.
Yeah.
And that ultimately goes to capturing a better performance and then capturing a better recording. Because a better recording is not, oh, this is a cleaner recording or it's better converters. Like the better recordings are really like, oh, that band played better.
It's the vibes, right?
Yeah,
I think we have learned that.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it does. Obviously helps recording into great gear.
Yeah. It makes my job easy.
Right.
It makes your job
You get
easy.
to where you want sonically quicker, I think. When you start using.
But at the end of the day, people listen to like the performance.
The vibes.
Yeah, the performance.
Yeah. No one knows we use this.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit that I'm fucking using it.
They're just like, I like the way it sounds.
Yeah, exactly. I need to go to that studio to get that sound with that engineer. Well, so tell us about how you started, man. What got you into this?
So similar to you, I was in marching band. Played fifth bass, I think, all 4 years, which is kind of funny. But I got my start. I've always loved music. So like, as a kid, my mom put me through like piano classes, stuff like that. That didn't really stick. Like really, I liked playing music. That's all I knew. And then I really found out I love to play drums. So that kind of got me into drumline in high school, and then played jazz band and stuff like that. And then throughout the years, just kind of got pretty decent at playing the kit. Also, was in a band in high school. That was kind of one of my first experiences in the studio. So there's the studio in Denver. It's not running anymore, but I believe it's called FTM Studios. That was like one of my first sessions with a full band, all of us like in a studio recording. And I had this feeling when I was there. I was just like, I want to do this. Like this is kind of what I want to do. And I always had a thing for recording. Like I would use the, similar to GarageBand, because in middle school, in our like music class, we had this like Logic computer set up with Logic. Or I don't remember if it was Logic or GarageBand, but I was just fiddling around with it and realized, man, because they had a bunch of like Apple loops and stuff. And I would just like put stuff together, and I was just like, man, this is kind of fun. I didn't know at the time, like, oh, I like producing music, stuff like that. But then high school came around, I was kind of focused on learning how to play drums. And then, when it came time for college, I was just like, all right, I kind of want to do this. But I kind of went the route of going to school for it. I did take that route, and personally for me, I kind of needed that to learn the fundamentals. I don't know why. I like, the format worked for me. So I went to Full Sail, and it was great. Like I learned all the fundamentals there. And then shortly after that, I got, an internship in a studio in New York. At the time, it was called Terminus Recording. And that was crazy. That was a crazy opportunity because, like, I've never, other than the school and, that studio I was at in Colorado, I'd never been in, like, a big studio.
Much less a commercial studio.
Exactly.
Because school studios are different, man.
School studios are different. Like, they have all the gear, but they're so focused on, honestly, teaching you the fundamentals, which is important. Because once you know the fundamentals, you can kind of, they wanted to prepare you to like come into a commercial studio and be able to be of value, right? So I got this opportunity at Terminus. I remember the first week, I don't even know if I told you this story, but the first week, obviously intern, right? Internship. And what was good about school was, man, I swear every professor was like, you guys got to pay your dues. Like when you guys get into a studio, all you're gonna do is get bagels and coffee. Yeah, that's it. Get food and bring coffee. You're not even gonna touch the board. So I already had that in my mind.
That's a great topic too to talk about because like nowadays a lot of people don't realize how much like you don't do in an internship. that you're supposed to do.
Like you gotta, man. I don't know what it is. The culture with the recording. I think it's everywhere. You got to pay your dues in the beginning.
Man,
like, and that's what was great about the school was like I feel like every professor had said that at one point in the class was like, look, guys, when you're in the studio, you're not going to do any studio stuff. Yeah. But you got to be there ready for the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally. Yeah.
And I'll talk about that moment because I was only supposed to be there for like 3 months, right? Like internship. Yeah. But so shortly after Full Sail, I like came back to Colorado, and then I started applying everywhere in Colorado. Nothing really happened there, so I just like off the whim sent my college resume to Terminus. They weren't even asking for an internship, but they're like the only ones that responded, and I was like, "Yo, what? Like that's crazy." So. My dad booked me a ticket out there. I had a friend out there I stayed with. A one-way ticket, which was cool because they were like, "Oh, you'll get it. Like, don't worry." So, a lot similar. Like, I had a lot of support from my parents. Like, I would not have been able to do that without their support. Because as an intern, you're not making anything. Yeah. So. Anyways,
that's true, man.
You're not making anything, so it's hard, man. It's hard to get in sometimes. So, but if you're prepared for it and you got the support, like, go for it. Yeah. You can still do it without the support. You just gotta make it happen. Yeah, it's a little harder. Yeah. I remember being an intern. So my first week there, we had a little B room, like tiny, like it was like half this size. Of this room, so like even smaller, right? So they had a couple distressors in there that like the signal wasn't going through. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, it's something to do with like studio stuff. So I'm like, okay, hey, I can help, because like that whole day, I remember there was a tech had come in to solder a bunch of cables that were connecting B into A. Yeah. So I was like sitting with this dude for like 6 hours, and the evening came, and obviously like most studios, you get the interns and stuff you get time to spend in there. Right? That's where it's important.
That's how you learn.
That's how you learn the room, because like if you don't spend that time learning the room, you'll just never be prepared for the opportunity when it will come up.
Exactly. Yeah, the opportunity comes up and you're like, oh, how do I pass
I don't know
this?
how to do. Yeah, it's like no, you don't want to be in that in that zone. So. I remember, and this is from school, right? Because like we had I forget what the class name was, but, we learned how to solder and like test the cables and stuff like that. So I remember pulling the DB25 from the back of the patch bay, opening the case, and I'm like, there's the issue. Like whoever had soldered this,
fucked it up.
It was messed up. And it was in the channels where we were patching
the distressor was in.
The distressor was in. So I was like, all right. We had a little... a soldering iron, everything you needed. And, obviously I had the class, but I just saw this dude solder all day. I'm like, I could do this. So I pulled up a diagram on YouTube. Yeah. And I just went at it. I tried to, rewire essentially the end of the DB25. Plugged that thing in, and dude, it worked.
You're like, hell yeah.
I was like, I surprised myself. I was like, yo, what?
No, but that's important, man. Taking risks, like
take the risk.
Like, I mean, dude, like
because I just saved the studio. Like, it's New York, right? So like, God knows how much it would have been to
just
have a tech come in for an hour, solder it there, right? Or just buying the cable new, because those cables can be expensive. So probably save them, I don't know, like $200-300. Yeah. But anyways, that, put in a good word for me with the studio manager at the time. So that was good. And then really what, like the opportunity coming back to being ready for the opportunity. Because throughout that time, my internship, the first couple months, I literally spent as much time there as possible. So like getting there in the morning, obviously, like doing your intern stuff. And then the owner of the spot would come in the mornings, which was dope because he would do a lot of like drum recordings, this and that. And that's where I really learned about why people use certain pre's for certain things.
Yeah, certain mics,
right? We were totally spoiled at that studio because they had like up like crazy gear,
Yeah.
like LA2As. We had a whole rack of 1073s, like API, like everything. I didn't even know like what we had really. But as the weeks went on, I started to learn. Oh, okay, like now I recognize the LA2A, like the texture it gives on the
Start hearing
vocals
shit,
and stuff. And we were lucky to even have really good mics. We had like a vintage 47, which was great and not great at the same time. Right? Like because it's so vintage, it literally sounds a little different every day. You plug it in. So, but it just I learned like the color of gear.
Yeah.
Like I learned why people get this stuff because it's like a box of crayons.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just a different flavor. And like you said before, it makes it easier to capture the sound as quickly as possible. Because I think for you too, like you want to do less stuff post.
Yeah, all the time, man. You want to just make sure it sounds good.
You can bring it in good, as good as you can. Do that. So learned a lot there. So, I'm in there every day, bro, just like learning the patch bay. Because once you're, in there helping somebody record as an intern, because after a while, then they trust you to be like, all right, can you do the patch?
Yeah, exactly. You start getting those opportunities.
You get those opportunities every day. So you kind of build up, you kind of start learning the room.
Yeah.
And then one day I remember it was like our free day or whatever, like to come in. So I came in, I'm all excited to like, usually I like set up drums. I just love to record drums. So I came in, I walk in the A room and DJ Khaled is like sitting in the chair. And I'm just like, oh shit, like there's a session today.
Yeah.
So I was like a little bit upset. I'm like, man, no one texted me. Like,
Just interrupted the session. Yeah.
And now I'm going to have to like intern because I'm there, So not that we had anything special going on. Obviously it was a great, but in my head, I've been interning now for so long. I was kind of...
You get to a point where you start weeding out or you start checking out, as an intern.
Checking out in a way because, like, I was still paying my dues. I knew, I was like, and it's... I'm sure, I don't know if you went through this here, but, man, the artist can be, like, demanding.
Yeah, all the time.
We want this, like specifically this from McDonald's or whatever like they
orders,
want.
Man,
so it gets a little... It happened, right?
Yeah.
They were like, oh, we're ordering this food. Can you go pick it up? It was like Bonchon or something. And I was like, cool, But that was the last thing I wanted to do that day. I was like, all right, whatever. I'll do it. I'll go pick up the food.
Yeah.
And then I come back with the food, and I don't remember this exactly, but Khaled was like, are you an engineer? Because their engineer, I guess, didn't come in, like fly in from Miami or something that day or that night. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is the opportunity.
Put me in, coach.
Put me in, coach. So I got, because I had done it so many times. I would like plug this in, patch the right chain in. And there we were off. I think that session was one of my first sessions actually, which was kind of crazy. I was sweating bullets, but it went well because of all the days we were just messing around in the studio, learning the room. So the session went well, and Khaled, I think, ended up booking like that whole month after that. And then I just assisted here and there because obviously, his engineer came through. But that was huge. Being prepared for that moment was huge because, like, even for the studio.
Yeah, you just said them a client.
I said them a client. They were like, they pretty much
want you in the session.
Put me on the roster of engineers. Yeah. So then I got to stay there for a couple of years, and that was huge for me. That experience in New York was huge because it really solidified, like, oh, I really like doing this.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to invest in my own gear and stuff. Like, but being there, I knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
Right, because I used it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you.
Right? It's not just like you're just watching a bunch of YouTube videos and you're like, okay, everyone likes it, so let me get it, which is fine. The reviews are good usually, but once you put your hands on something,
Yeah, you know
and
exactly
you
what you
hear
want.
the
Yeah,
result,
it's different.
it's just different. Like you just want that saturation that you know you're not gonna.
Yeah,
It's hard to get in the
yeah.
box. Or I mean, today plugins are great, so like you can get that saturation, but you don't know what you're looking for
Yeah,
unless you've heard
unless
it.
you're using it. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into this, man. And then off and on, my road in this industry, you know, I obviously got to the point where I made a decision to go into tech. Still did this on the side, but was really just working with people I knew
yeah,
and kind of just kept getting
yeah,
gear over the years, right?
yeah,
Like yourself.
yeah.
And now we've kind of amassed a good collection of stuff. Obviously, you know, we'll never stop, but we'll keep getting stuff.
Yeah,
But
I'm about to sell all my shit.
hell no.
No, yeah, but I mean, yeah, dude, that's crazy, right? Because like everybody's journey looks different.
Yeah, man.
Everybody's journey like takes into different places, and you know, like New York, like you're in the heart of a city that's constantly every day doing shit.
Yeah, there's a
You know,
lot
Austin is
going
not the
on,
same
man.
thing,
Yeah.
but Austin is it's its own thing. You know, like it's not. You can't expect New York or LA out of Austin.
No,
But
no.
there's if you're in the right places in Austin, you can work on some cool shit. And I think that's the difference where it's like, you know, like being an engineer, you know, because like for example, like as an intern, your internship experience out there looks way different than internship experiences down here because there's
right.
not that kind of clientele coming through here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of changing a little bit, but like it's not the same, you know.
It's not an everyday, because at a certain point, you just got used to seeing these
Yeah, you
cats.
got used to see them. They're either working the Terminus, they're either working at Quad, they're working somewhere else.
Yeah,
Like
at the time, there
yeah.
was Terminus, Quad was on the 10th, and then we had a Premiere studio.
Yeah, so
at
I mean,
the time, I think now it's all
there's
Quad,
at
but
least somebody there that's somebody.
you
know
would
what I'm
just
saying?
run into everybody and
Yeah.
everybody.
So
like,
you get immune to it. Whereas like here, there's more of like that internship where like they get discouraged because it's like, oh, a lot of my internship is just cleaning and doing this. And it's only that's just always what it's gonna be though.
It's
like,
gonna be that in the beginning,
yeah.
but
So the opportunities
also,
are definitely like a little bit more scarce. But I mean, they're there. You just gotta be ready for them. And like you said, just making sure that we're able to like capitalize on them. You know, you capitalize on yours. I capitalize on mine.
I mean, like
you know?
you made it happen too. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's not like
I feel like I was lucky to be in a spot like that because you're right. It was in such an area too, like you know.
I feel like
Square.
I don't know. I wouldn't call it luck. I would call it more like perseverance, because you chose to stay there as an intern when
That's
you weren't
true.
getting paid. You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
Like nowadays, people are just like, I'm 2 weeks in and I'm done. It's like nah, the opportunity is not gonna come in 2 weeks into the internship. Like it might come 6 months.
That's what's hard, man.
Yeah, and you know,
and this was like 4 months in.
Yeah, exactly. Because for me, I was working my day job from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then being in the studio from 10 to fucking midnight.
That's insane.
You know, like that's just what it was. But like, I had to keep doing stuff to like make my income because I wasn't making enough engineering.
Right.
And I have, I have a family and everything. At the time, I had my son, but like I still had a wife, and you know, I have to take care of that. So like, I have to balance out my regular job with the studio job, and then eventually, you know, you take a leap. You take that leap of faith. Your leap of faith was like New York.
Going to New York.
Yeah,
because I did not.
Yeah,
I did not want.
Yeah, exactly.
To go.
My leap of faith was like leaving this job and just going all in on this here.
Right.
You know, like that was, and you just do it, and it's like ultimately it makes you grind harder because you're looking to provide what that other job was providing for you. But then you're like, damn, but now I'm doing what I want to do. And the income might be a little less at first, but it doesn't feel that way because you're doing what you want to do, you know? And it's like it pays off if you just stay consistent, man. Consistency, grinding, you know, like you talked about, it's like, man, like that's 4 months into the internship. 4 months in New York is expensive. Like
cleaning the bathrooms. And,
yeah, you get tired, man. You know,
but like I said, during that time, obviously you're assisting.
Yeah, and that's one thing.
That's important. Like don't take that time for granted.
Nah, that's when you're learning the rooms, you're learning the preamps, you're learning the microphones, you're learning what you like, you're learning what you don't like. And then ultimately you were ready for that opportunity. Yeah. You know what I mean? To engineer for big artists like that, you know? And and those big artists are always gonna come in and out and stuff like that. But you learn something. It's almost like those opportunities are more about discovering what you can do.
Yep.
And you kind of realize it's like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, more than the pay or more than anything like that.
Yeah.
You know,
you got to experience it.
Yeah.
Because like even after I met Khaled, and then we had a bunch of sessions after that, and obviously I stayed for a couple of years, so a lot of sessions came through. You really realize if you like doing this or not, and and it's not that much of a mystery. Like once you watch the pros do it, right? Like his engineer and producers that came in, you're just like, yeah, this is not so far away from my reach. It really comes back to like consistency and discipline, which is like most things, right? But it really does. It also makes you realize like, oh, I love doing this, because like even for the both of us, sometimes we're purchasing gear. We're just like purchasing. Like,
dude. I mean, and I get excited over gear. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna try out this preamp with this mic. Oh, I love that mic with that channel strip or whatever.
Exactly, right?
It's
like we're not. We really love this.
Exactly.
Even though it's made us into gearheads, but
and it's but at the end of the day, though, it's like that like like you stop and think about it, and for me, at least in my shoes, I think about it and I'm like, I could go into tech, make bread, and be good.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like I only know music. Like that's all I've ever done. So it's like it's kind of hard, but I mean, it's not impossible. I could do it.
No.
But it's like my forte is definitely this, and like this is another topic that we'll talk about too. It's like how sometimes you're not the right engineer for certain sessions.
Yeah, and that's totally okay.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I think that's something that people don't understand, and it's like you might be the best engineer in what you do for this genre, but like that doesn't mean that's gonna work for this other genre. And like it's a lot harder to be an engineer that can do a lot of shit,
right?
Because I'm recording rock today. Okay, compressed guitars, drums compressed, all this.
Every genre has its
and
flavor.
then you're doing hip hop the next day. It's like, oh, they don't want me to touch the drums.
Yeah,
like that's zero processing on the drums, maybe some saturation, but like they usually don't like compression on the drums. So it's like, but a super compressed vocal. So it's like knowing how to leverage all that and like things that you can do. Like like sometimes I'm jumping from genre to genre mixing, and I mix this like if it's a fucking hip hop track, and then I mix this like it's a rock track, and the first version is like, oh shit. It's really not it, So then I go back in and fix it, and then I send it. It just depends on what genre you're coming out of, and you almost kind of have to learn to reset your ears and figure out what works for what.
And you kind of figure out like, I'm actually good at working in this type of genre.
Yeah, exactly, man.
And you can be genre bending, like work on different genres. It actually makes you a better engineer, anyways, because obviously the more genres you can work with, the better for you as an engineer, because that's more.
Exactly. That's more work. And also, too, man, people see the value in that, like nowadays, like where people want a lot of drums in their stuff and things like that. Like if you don't know how to record drums, that's tough, because it's like, man, even hip hop records nowadays
honestly, that's
want
like
real
one
drums.
I would recommend one of the first things you should try to kind of master is like recording drums. Because like recording everything else, you can get away with.
Yeah, dude, and even drums though, like you don't need fucking 8-10 mics. Like you can get great sounds with like fucking 3 mics, dude, 2 mics.
There's
like you really
can.
Where,
literally even 1 mic.
If
exactly. You know how to place it and like your room. But that's what's fun about it. Like drums can be recorded so differently every single time. That's why I love recording drums, because it's just like there's an art to it.
For sure.
It's like how many ways are you gonna record vocals, right? Not that there's not any like crazy.
It's always a vocal microphone.
It's a cardioid in front of a person, right? Obviously, different flavors of mics, but you know what I mean. Like drums,
so you got toms. You want to mic up toms.
You can be recording drums every day and
do
it'll
something
sound
different.
a little different every day.
Man, you can mic the undertones. You can mic the top. Like you can do. Exactly. Shit. I mean, there's so much shit.
Hallway mics. Whatever. You start learning these things, but
But yeah, so that's the thing that like we'll talk about in this podcast, where it's like we'll talk about micing up stuff. We want to do like shootouts, mic shootouts. We want to do gear
reviews, the
reviews,
stuff we have
plugins,
here,
like
plugins,
stuff like that. Like we want to bring you behind the scene on some sessions that we're doing, like capture a bunch of B-roll, obviously with the permission of the artist. But like anything that we can get from like our sessions and really put it out for you guys, like that's the whole point of this podcast, where it's like, or even not even the podcast, just really the brand, like the engineer's perspective, right? Like it's like that is literally what we're trying to do. Is like, how does it feel like working with other artists? How does it feel like working with different microphones?
Right.
The same microphone in a different room, like different channels. Like this, the chauffeurs have blue silk, red silk. Like shootouts, like
vocal
just
chains,
vocal
like
chains.
that,
and luckily we're fortunate enough to have some of the access to some of the top gear. So I think that's definitely gonna be exciting, and also too, like we want to bring in guests on the podcast.
Yeah, 100%. Because we want to also connect with artists, that are maybe thinking about getting into the studio. Because that's a whole nother topic, like the etiquette on an artist in the stew.
Yeah.
And how to find your engineer.
Exactly, dude. And also like, I mean, you think about it, right? The engineer's perspective, like, it's only two perspectives. Like,
we
want to bring in other engineers,
in,
bring other people in town. Either we want to travel to be able to go to like New York and catch up with your with your homies. Go out to LA, catch up with some people there. Go to Mexico City, like different things in Sonic Ranch. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that we want to do that we want to really like get and capture and start posting about, and and essentially bring you guys in the journey of what it feels like to be an engineer in today's industry, and really
learn from you guys too, because hopefully we get other engineers supporting this. And get you on the pod too.
Exactly.
Like we are always. I think we have this good mindset of like we're always learning.
Yeah,
like,
man.
I'm never in the mode of like I know it all. Like,
exactly.
I don't think anybody should.
Nobody ever knows it all, man. And ultimately, dude, it's like it's an engineer's perspective, right? Like everybody sees things differently. Everybody hears things differently, and it's interesting because like we'll learn a bunch of stuff having guests on here. They'll probably learn some stuff watching some videos and stuff. Like, and my way of working, your way of working isn't the only way.
No, not at all.
And that's okay. And I think that's something that's very lost, or maybe not super lost, but like there's definitely something that people forget about. That it's like you're picking engineers based off of like how they season the music and how they hear shit.
Every engineer, in a way, is an artist.
Like for sure.
They might help you paint the picture, but it's going to be, which I think is a beautiful thing. So well, definitely these upcoming episodes we'll dive into more of how we work. And hopefully we get people on here and kind of talk about how they work.
Exactly.
How they get their sounds.
And also like we said, like artists, having them come in, be guests, and like, what's it like working with this person? What's it like working with that person? Like, what was your journey? Like, so we have some pretty cool stuff coming in, or we planned at least, So,
100%.
but yeah, so like I think we'll be in some long-term content for you guys.
For sure. It's gonna be exciting, man. A lot of good content.
And we'll try to stay consistent with this, but remember, we are actually doing this. So can be hard. So if we fall off a schedule, it's not because we don't want to post. It's literally
we'll still put something out there. But thanks guys for joining and watching this. If you made it to the end, please like, follow, subscribe. Instagram,
support anything.
YouTube.
Any questions too? Any questions too? You guys want to ask us? Like, feel free to reach out. Like, comment, whatever, because that's what we're here for. Is just to kind of help out and essentially try to build a community. So
100%.
We'll keep in touch with that too. So
sweet, man.
Oh yeah, bro. First episode.